I've got Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's a guy that I think's being sort of disrespected. I kind of got.
He wasn't on my list.
I gotta Google Lamar Jackson to find out who he is because nobody's talking about him. And the guy won the Heisman Trophy last year. I mean, you look at the numbers. I understand why people have kind of soured on him. The team lost the last 3 games of the season last year. They looked uninspired. The team looked uninspired.
It looked like teams started to figure him out a little bit. To me,
that could be it, or it could just be that they were a team that had national championship playoff aspirations. That once that wasn't the case, they kind of folded. They were a young team. He's especially a young quarterback. So, I can't give him a pass for that. And I don't even think he should have won the Heisman last year. I was always saying that Deshaun Watson I would have had ahead of him because his team was better. But at the same time, you look at that early game against Clemson in September. If they get past Clemson, now, he might as well write his ticket to New York if he stays healthy because the rest of their schedule is easy besides Florida State. Sam Darnold was a guy that you obviously think about when you put together this list. But I couldn't really consider him, or I couldn't really put him on the list because when you look at past Heisman winners, generally it hasn't been a guy that's come in as a big favorite, and I think Sam Darnold comes in that position. It hasn't been somebody that plays in a pro-style offense. Besides maybe Jameis Winston, all these quarterbacks that have won have come from an offense that is a video game offense. It's a shotgun. Spread offense. You don't really run anything other than that. And then, lastly, it hasn't really been, a pure top quarterback prospect. At least a guy that we look at, all right, next year he's going to be in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So that all those reasons are why Sam Darnold, he fits all 3 of those molds. He fits all 3 of the molds of that type of quarterback. And that's why I find it hard to believe that he's going to be able to put up the numbers in that USC offense with those new receivers. Number 2, this was tough. It's really tight between 1 and 2, but I'm going to go with Drew Lock, quarterback out of Missouri, who I almost went number 1. I feel like Lock is the closest thing in this draft, definitely, I think, to Pat Mahomes in terms of arm talent, in terms of, mobility and kind of creativity. But the questions with Lock, really, they start with sometimes he tries to do too much. He tries to fit, balls into tight circles that maybe aren't really there. He's got an extremely live arm. So, I think Drew Lock could really be a franchise quarterback. I think, worst case scenario is always really low for a quarterback. But I think a realistic comparison would be he kind of reminds me of Jay Cutler, but without the, intangible issues that Jay Cutler probably had. So I really like Drew Lock a lot.
Obviously, you were an alumni, great all-time Memphis player. What does it feel like to now be the head coach at the University of Memphis, your alma mater?
It's a great feeling. Just to be this whole thing to go full circle and be the head coach in my hometown at my alma mater is a great feeling.
At number 3, we have Kevin Sumlin, the Texas A&M coach. He's a guy that I like Kevin Sumlin. I think he's a good coach, but I think both sides probably need to change the scenery because Kevin Sumlin's a guy that, he was huge under Johnny Manziel. He had the rock star quarterback. He was the rock star head coach down south, and every player wanted to play for Kevin Sumlin.
Showing up in helicopters. Games. He was a celebrity coach in the South.
And that star has started to fade a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now that Tom Herman's at Texas, I think Texas A&M's looking at themselves like, we stuck with Kevin Sumlin a year when maybe if we would have gotten out early, maybe we had a chance to get Tom Herman. Mm-hmm. But now we're stuck with no Tom Herman.
And there have been plenty of performances that we saw live. The first guy we saw play was Tyler Hero in Miami. They played the Orlando Magic, and he's a guy that's so great all summer league. Yeah. Even back in Sacramento when they were playing, they were one of the first teams to play. So I don't know the averages, but he's got to be averaging at least 20 points at this point. He had 25 in the game we saw. I compared him to Devin Booker earlier in the draft process, and that's who he reminds me of. He's eerily similar in terms of his ability to play and pick and roll, which we didn't know about.